Perfect. Okay, so let's take it right down onto your back. Okay, so knees and feet just hip distance apart to start. Head and shoulders nice and heavy on the floor. Good. And let's just start with some of that basic breathing that we did last week. So if you think one hand on the tummy, one hand on the rib cage. Breathing in, you want to feel that rib cage lift up and out. And breathing out, you want to feel the belly push out a little more. Good. So just get 2 or 3 big deep breaths. Good. Really feel those lungs expand. And on that out breath, right at the end of that out breath is when you feel that tummy muscle just start to contract a little more. Good. Just 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Perfect. And inhale. And exhale. Good. All right, so we're going to start from a neutral spine. So just bring your hands either down by your sides, or you can bring it just to the edge of your hips if it's easier. And we're starting with that neutral spine position. So we're drawing the belly button in towards the back, feeling like we've lifted the pelvic floor up and that the hip muscles have come a little closer together, but we keep that little arch just under the small of the back. So that's our neutral. We start from there with our in breath, and then as we breathe out, we're going to tilt that pelvis back, rolling the tailbone down towards the heels and flattening that spine a little bit towards the floor. Good. And then breathe in to release back to neutral and breathe out to imprint. So we just get that pelvic tilt, we get that forward and back. It's all coming from the belly muscle. So just like we did last week, we keep that lower tummy muscle nice and tight. Pelvis rocks forward and back. Thinking about that little grape that appears under the back whenever we're in neutral, and then you flatten that grape and slide the tailbone away when you're in imprint. Good. Feet stay on the floor, head and shoulders stay relaxed. Inhale to neutral and exhale to imprint. Good. Let's just go for another 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Let's bring it back to neutral. So that's kind of our resting position. So the tummy is still working away in the background, but they've got that little gap. I can get my fingertips underneath there easy enough. My lower half of the body's going to stay still. We're going to bring the arms up to the sky. Good. Now from here, we're going to breathe in, take the arms overhead. Breathe out to pull them back up to the sky. Good. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale to pull them up. Good. So we want to think now about that little string that runs between the bottom rib and the hip. And as the arms go overhead, we do not want the rib cage to lift up. So we want to keep just that sensation of pushing the rib cage down towards the hips, keeping the tummy muscles just that little bit more in control. The other way to think about it sometimes is if you were to draw an X in your tummy from rib to hip, we want the X to stay as small as possible. We don't want it to get bigger as the arms go overhead. Good. Inhale as the arms go back. Exhale to pull them up. Good. For another 3. And 2. And 1. Good. From there, we're going to open that into a nicer big circle. So arms go overhead as you breathe in. This time as you breathe out, you're going to sweep them around the side. So inhale overhead. Exhale, sweep around. So we're still in a neutral spine. I'm still gently pulling my belly button towards my back. I'm making sure that my rib cage doesn't start to slip up towards the sky. And just getting some blood flowing around that upper body. Inhale overhead and exhale to sweep round. Good. Let's go for another 2. And 1. Good. And then bring the arms back up to the sky. Good. From here, we're just going to add a little reach with the fingertips. So both hands up to the ceiling. I'm going to just lengthen my arms up towards the sky, feeling like I'm pulling my shoulder blades around my rib cage. And then as I breathe out, I'm going to slide the shoulder blades back in towards the spine. So the elbows stay straight the whole time. Just a little reach up and then that small pull back. We're just moving the shoulder blades themselves. They come around the side of the body, and then we slide them together, almost just like you're pinching them together by your spine. So your arms will only move a couple of inches. There's not a whole lot of movement in it. Inhale to reach, exhale to slide the arms back. Good, reach the fingertips up and glide them back. Nice, let's go for 3. And 2. And 1. Nice, let's bring those arms all the way back down to the floor. Good, so that just keeps a little bit of blood flow around the upper body. We're going to put the focus now back to the lower half of the body and the belly. So check that we're still in neutral so that we have that tightness, that control in the belly muscle, but I have that little kind of ice cube size space under my back. From here, we're going to start with the knees. I'm going to get my right knee just to drift to the side. And then I'm going to pull it back to the middle. And then I'm going to get my left knee to drift to the side and pull it back to the middle. So with this, we want to make sure that the pelvis doesn't start to rock from left to right. So think about placing a little marble in the center of your pelvis. And as that knee drifts, it only goes as far as you can keep your pelvis still. Good. So if you keep going past it, it'll be harder for it to get stronger. Good. And you breathe in as the knee goes off to the side, and you breathe out to bring it back to the center. Inhale and exhale. And it's nice and controlled. And again, with this, I like to just place my fingertips just on the front of my pelvis so that you'll be able to feel a little bit more if it starts to rock kind of from side to side. Good. Nice. Let's go for 3. And 2. And 1. Good, let's throw some arms into that. So let's take the arms back up where they were a few minutes ago to the sky. This time as my right knee goes to the side, my left arm is going to go to the side. And then they pull back in at the same time. Inhale, opposite arm and leg. Exhale to pull them back to the center. Good. Keep thinking about just lightly pulling that belly button towards the spine. The back has that natural little curve in it. And the pelvis is totally still. Good. Inhale away. Exhale to bring it back to the center. Good. For 4. And 3. 2. And 1. Lovely. Bring the arms back down by your side. We're going to change the leg movement a little, but we're going to stick with neutral spine. So now you have to focus on making sure the pelvis doesn't rock forwards. I'm going to just lengthen my right leg out straight and then pull it back into that bend position. Push the leg away and bring it back in. So it just slides out along the floor and then comes back to that starting position. Now the risk is as that leg goes out in front, that the pelvis just falls forward, which we don't want to happen. We want to keep the belly drawn into the back, and we want to keep that pelvis really steady. Good. We still breathe in as it lengthens away, and breathe out to pull it back in where it started. Good. Inhale, exhale. Good. For 2. And 1. Good, let's put the arms into that as well. So the arms are going to go lengthways as well now. So as my right leg goes out, my left arm goes back overhead. So just one arm at a time. I'm pulling it back in. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Lengthen and bring it up. Good. So now you have to think about that rib cage a little more. So think about that tight string. And think about keeping that X small in the belly. One leg lengthens. Opposite arm goes overhead. Good. Inhale away. Exhale to bring them back to the center. Well done. So it's small and subtle, but this is all the control that we need to build up strength over the next few weeks. Good. So better to shorten your movements a little and keep the pelvis more controlled. Good. For 3. And 2. And 1. Good. Bring those arms back down to the floor. Let your feet and your knees come together, and we'll just rock them from side to side. Just loosen that up now that we're starting to get a bit warmer. Good. So you're just letting that rock, get that little bit of a stretch. Good. Really nice. So we're going to bring it back to the middle. Knees and feet go back to that hip distance apart. We're going to start in neutral spine again, so belly button drawn in, but we have that little ice cube size gap under the back, and we're going to go into our ab prep. So this is this little mini crunch that we started working on last week. So to start, we take a breath in. As I breathe out, I just nod my head down into my chest as if I'm holding on to a little apple or orange under my chin. And then I continue that out breath as I bring my head and shoulders off the floor into that little mini crunch and taking it back down. Good. Inhale, exhale to lift. Good. So it's just a small little lift up. You're just rounding your head and shoulders off the floor. Feeling like your rib cage is just sliding down to meet your belly button. We keep the tummy muscles drawn in. So as you lift up, you should still feel like your tummy stays flat. We don't want everything in the tummy pushing up to the sky. Good. Get that out breath as you lift. Really make sure we get that little chin tuck before you lift the head. Good, just do a couple more. Let me have a wee look. That looks good, yeah. Little slide up, nice. Yeah, perfect. Let's go for another 3. And 2. And 1. Good, let's let the head and shoulders rest on the floor. And from there, we'll go straight into our bridge. So this is lifting the bum up this time. So we start neutral. We roll back through imprint. So we send the tailbone away. And then we lift the hips up off the floor. Squeezing that bum and lifting up as high off the floor as you can go. Just hold that for a little second when you come up. So push the knees out over the toes. You want to feel like your legs are like train tracks, so they're parallel to each other. Just squeeze your tummy and your bum as you hold it up. And then we take a breath in at the top, and on that out breath, you're going to push down through the rib cage, scoop the belly in, and try and push each bone in the back down one by one. Keeping that tailbone tucked underneath until the very last second. Good. And again, inhale, exhale, lift the hips. Good. Make sure your heels are close enough to your butt that you can get that nice big lift. If you're too far away, you'll feel it a lot more in your hamstrings. Inhale at the top, exhale to roll down. It really comes from the tummy muscle on the way down. Good, keep going with that. You can just go at your own pace because I know everybody comes down slightly differently. But making sure you really get the hips up as high as you can on the way up. And then you breathe out and you pull the tummy in tight as you roll down to the floor. Good, keep going, a few more of them. The legs will start to feel a little bit tired around the front and the back. Good, on the way down, really think about pushing the rib cage down first. And the bum muscle is the last thing to touch the floor. Really good, let's go 2 more. Inhale, exhale to lift. Slowly rolling down. Trying to get a little bit more movement every time. Perfect. Last one. Inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale at the top and exhale to roll down. Good. When your bum touches the floor this time, let your knees come together again and just let it rock from left to right. Just loosen off any stiffness or tightness you have. the back of your legs feel a bit tight, just kick them out a couple of times, just loosen them off. Good. Now we're going to add a wee knee exercise that I don't think we did last week. So we're back into neutral spine with the knees and the feet hip distance apart. So remember, neutral is tummy muscles working with that small little arch on the back. Okay, and we're going to just introduce our hip circle this week. So we're going to bring the right leg to tabletop, so that's 90 degrees. But we want to keep that small little arch. So you should still be able to get your fingertips under your back. Now from here, it's like my kneecap is drawing a circle on the ceiling. So I want my hip bone to move around in a circle in its socket. Okay, so just think about a pencil on your kneecap and you're drawing a circle on the sky with that knee. Good, and if we think about the plateau side of it, the tummy, we don't want the pelvis to move. So it's nice and controlled. It's not going to be a massive circle initially, we're just moving that hip bone. Sometimes just think of it like kind of cleaning out the bottom of a mixing bowl, you're just moving that hip round in a circle. Good, change the direction, just circle around the opposite way. Good. Try and breathe in for one small circle and breathe out for another. Good, and some of those little hip muscles will just start to switch on and become a little tired. Good, for 3, 2, 1. Perfect, take the right leg to the floor. Make sure we're still in neutral so that we haven't lost that little gap under the small of the back, and bring the left leg up. Good, and then again into that small circle. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Remember, it's coming from the kneecap. The lower half of the leg is still. Think about that marble on the center of the pelvis. We don't want it rolling around. Good. Change direction. Good. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Bring that foot back to the floor. We're going to go straight into our imprint. So slide the tailbone away towards the heels. Roll your pelvis back a little, and that will feel like it's flattening the back towards the spine, or towards the floor, sorry. But remember, we want it to come from the belly. We don't want the back muscles pushing into the floor. And then we're going to bring one leg to tabletop, so 90 degrees. Take a breath in. Breathe out. We bring the other leg up to match. Really holding that belly in tight. We want the back to stay flat to the floor. Good, so just breathe as you hold to start. Try and keep pulling that belly button in towards the spine and sending the tailbone towards the bottom of your mat. Good. We're going to bring one foot back down. Keep imprinted, so keep the back flat. And bring the other leg down. Good. Same again, breath in, breath out, one leg up. Inhale, exhale, second leg. We're trying to keep the back flat and still the whole time. Good, one leg down. Second leg down. Good, just a couple more, nice and slow. Pelvis and back still the whole time. Breathing out as you lift the leg. Breathing as we hold. Good, one leg down. Second leg down. Last one, we're just going to go up and hold it this time. So one leg, second leg. Good. We're going to keep them both up to the sky, and then we're going to go into the toe tap. So this time as I bring the leg down, it's only going to touch the floor and come back up. Tap the floor, come back up. So you have to pull that belly button muscle in the whole time. If you find it's too hard and you're doing a lot of rocking, just bring one leg down and just practice with one foot. And then you can switch over. But as long as you know that your back is staying flat to the floor, you can keep both legs up. Just work on that little tap. Tummy should be working hard. Good. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just hug those knees in tight to the chest when you finish. Just get that nice stretch in the spine. Good. So again, we just made that X kind of from the ribs to the hips even smaller. And we're trying to get in really deep, really low on those tummy muscles. So these aren't the six-pack muscles. These are the ones even deeper in underneath. Good. Let's go back into that position. So imprint. Bring the legs to tabletop. Good. And from here, we're going to go into our ab prep again. So this is into this little half crunch, head and shoulders coming up. So breath in, breath out. We tuck the chin into the chest, and we lift the head and shoulders up so the eye lines look in between the thighs. And then take it back down. And again, inhale, exhale up. And down. Keep going. Good. So try and keep the knees directly over the hips and the feet in line with the knees. Back staying flat the whole time. Rib cage sliding down to meet the hips. And your neck will get stronger, but if you're struggling with your neck, you can put one hand just under the base of the skull, and that'll give you a little bit more support as you come up. Good. So you just scoop it right underneath the base of the skull, elbow stays out wide, and it's just that little bit of support for it rather than lifting it up. Good. Let's go for another 3. And 2. And we're going to stay up on 1. And we're going to start to move the arms up and down. We're going to start to pulse into this 100 with the Pilates. So chin tucked in, head and shoulders lifted up. If it's too hard, you bring one leg down and you pulse into your 100 from this position. Good. Otherwise, both legs are up, back is flat, and we're holding on to that little apple or orange under the chin. Breathing in for 5. Breathing out for 5. Good. In for 5. Out for 5. Good. Hold it still. Bring the head and shoulders back. Bring one leg down and the other leg down. Good. Well done. Just let your knees rock from left to right again. So you should start to feel that's really switching on into the tummy muscles. You're having to use all those belly muscles. Good. Now, from here, we're going to push up into sitting plankies. Okay, and we're going to start with the feet bent, with the knees bent, sorry, with the feet just hip distance apart. Okay, and we're going to use the same muscles that we've just been using in the belly, but we're going to go into what we call our half roll back. So we're going to reach the arms out in front. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll back onto the base of the back. So you're going to basically imprint the way you did on the floor. So you're going to draw the tummy in and you're going to roll onto the base of the pelvis. And then as I go back a little further, I'm trying to create a C shape with my spine, pushing my rib cage down into my tummy and just leaning back ever so slightly. So when you're back there, you should feel the tummy muscle working. Good. And then we're going to pull it back up as you breathe out. Good. And breathe in to go back. So you really pull your belly button in. You feel yourself roll onto the top of your pelvis. And then it's like you're trying to push your lower back into the floor. And breathe out to come back up. Good. Inhale to go back. So it's a bit like a kind of like a sit-up, but a different position. Much better for you. And what we want to try and avoid is that the hips are doing all the work. So if you just lean back through your shoulders, you'll feel it in your belly, but you'll feel it in your hips. We want to really curve the spine, almost roll into that imprint, and then send the tailbone towards the feet as you roll your back into that kind of C-shaped curve. Inhale to go back, and exhale to come forward. Good. Think about sliding the ribs down into the hips. Good. Let's go for another 4. Good. And 3. Good. So really think, imagine there's like a little tomato or something sitting just right behind you that you're trying to really squash with that lower part of your back. So really rolling down into it, feeling that tummy. Really good. One more. Good. And bring it back up. Lovely. Now we're going to change the leg position a little. You're going to straighten the legs out in front. Good. You're sitting on tall. Now, if you feel really tight in this position, so if you feel like you can't get your legs out straight and your back up tall, you can sit on a little cushion. Okay. And we're going to bring the arms out to shoulder height. Good. So again, it comes from the tummy. So we pull the belly button into the spine and we sit up tall on the bum bones. Okay. I'm going to start with an in-breath. So take a deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, I'm going to just twist my upper body one direction. Feel that stretch in the middle of your back. Breathe in to come back to the center. And breathe out to go the other way. So you're trying to keep both sit bones really locked onto the floor. Good. And I say if you feel really tight in the legs, you're just going to grab onto something. Just raise yourself up a little and it'll just take that pressure off. And it'll allow you that bigger twist. So this is a stretch for the middle back, nice and slow. You want to keep the shoulders pulling down, so you don't want them up to the ears. And it's almost like you're getting taller as you twist, so like somebody's pulling you up by the crown of your head. Good. Just bring that down, let it rest for a second. If you really, really struggle with your legs, you can try and bend them a little bit to start. Some people find it really uncomfortable in the hips, in which case you can get that little bit of a bend on it. But eventually we want to work into that straight position, tummy up tight. So let's just try a couple more each side. So shoulders out wide, but pull the shoulder blades into the middle of the back. Breath in, out breath twist. Inhale center, exhale twist. And center, let's go one more each side. Good. And bring it back down. Good. Just roll your shoulders out a few times if you feel a bit tight. And then from there, we're going to go down onto your side. So take it down onto your side. Keep the knees bent. And let the head just rest on the underneath arm. Okay, so this is a similar exercise. We want to move that middle part of the back. We call our open book stretch. We're going to take the arm out in front. Draw the tummy muscle in and keep the knees on the floor. So we want to keep the knees tight together on the floor and I want to keep the hips pointing forward. I'm going to breathe in and bring my arm up to the sky. And the minute the arm gets to the sky, I then start to twist my upper body. So I'm opening through my chest and my rib cage, stretching back, and then pulling it around. Good. So make sure you've got a really good bend on the knees, kind of keeping you in tight to start. Breathing in as you start to go up to the sky, and then the out breath gives you that twist through the middle of the back. Right, so you're really trying to kind of open that shoulder blade, and your head follows your hands the whole time, so you should always be able to see your fingertips. And if you think about it like a kind of a torch shining from your breastbone, it starts pointing to the front, and then ultimately you want to see if you can get it pointing as close to the ceiling as you can get. Good. Let's do about 3 more on that side. Good. Last one. So this stretch will get easier and easier as you go through, but you're really just trying to let your whole upper body, your rib cage just twist around. You feel that big stretch in the middle of your back. Good. Now, when you bring that back over, you're going to straighten out both legs. Okay, and when you look down, you want to be able to just see the tips of your toes. So if you can see your whole leg, your feet are too far forward. You want to straighten that out. And then we want to feel like that top leg, making sure that it's totally level with the bottom leg. So you might have to push it down a little bit, feeling like the hips going away from you. And that should create this little gap underneath your tummy muscle here. So that makes sure that the spine is nice and still. Now, if you're okay with your balance, you're going to bring your hands to your hip. And we're going to just start lifting and lowering that top leg. So the leg just comes slightly high of the hip joint, not too big. And if you're really wobbly, you can put a fingertip on the floor. Good. Nice. So we keep it in that straight line. It doesn't go forward or back. And we keep pulling the tummy muscle in tight. And again, I like the hand on the hip so you can feel if your pelvis is moving. So in theory, I should be able to rest a big glass of water here and it wouldn't move. Because my tummy's keeping my back and my hips, my back and my pelvis still, and it's just my hip that's moving. Good. So the legs should start to get a little heavier. Breathing as we lift. Good. Let's go for another 4. And 3. 2. And 1. Good. Let that come down. It's a quick rest. We're going to bring it back up to hip height. And similar to the hip circle we did earlier, we're going to create that circular motion through the hip. So this time the circle's coming from the toes. And you should start to feel that heaviness, that ache coming around the bum, in and around the back of the hip. Breathing as we hold, all nice and controlled. Good for 3, 2, 1. Let it lower down. Good. So it should be kind of heavy, a bit achy. We're going to go one more because that's where we build strength. So we're going to bring it back up to hip height and see if you can circle the other direction this time. So with the circle, if you're losing your balance, you can put one fingertip in front. Keep pulling your belly button into your back. And this should be getting tired now. This should be getting a bit achy. Good. For 3, and 2, and 1, and let it come back down. Well done. Give it a little pat for the knee, just get the blood flow back into it. Good. And then we're going to roll over. We're going to do that set on the other side. So change sides or change ends, whichever way you're going. And we start with the bent knees. We've got to stretch first of all. So you're over on your opposite side, knees bent. Arm reaching out in front to start. Good. So make sure that we keep the knees together and we keep the hips pointing forward. Inhale and go to the sky. Exhale, you try and open your chest towards the sky. Good. Make sure that you never lose sight of your fingertips. If they drop below your shoulder, you're going to just feel a big stretch in the front of the shoulder. Good. So imagine that your bum is just right up against a wall, so it can't roll backwards. You have to move from the upper part of your spine. Good. Inhale, exhale, open. Good. Let's go for another 3. And 2. Good. Last one. This is one of these nice stretches we do pretty much every single class. Really good for everybody sitting at desks and sitting down all day. Good. And then we're going to push both legs out straight. Good. Find that connection to the tummy muscle even deeper. So pull that belly button in tight. Make sure the legs are level with each other. So that top leg might have to feel like it pushes away a little further. Fingertips should slide underneath there easily. And then we go into that lift and lower. Good. Perfect, yeah, good. So this part stays still. If I had headlights on my hips, they're totally still, they don't move. Good. Quite slow, it goes up and down at the same pace. Good, let's go for another 3, 2, 1. Comes down. And then we go back up just to hip height. And we start to add this circular motion in. So it comes from the hip. The whole leg is circling. And if you're losing your balance, or you feel like you're moving too much, fingertip in front. And that'll help you get that nicer movement that'll get that 8 pulling into the bum muscle even quicker. Good for 4. And 3, 2, 1. Comes down, takes a little rest. And then we're going to go up into the opposite direction. So we lift it back up, just level with the hip, and then circle the opposite way. Good, keep pulling that belly button into the spine. Good, let's go for 5, and 4, 3, 2, 1, and pull it back down. Well done, guys. We're going to change position again. We're going to go over onto your hands and knees. Good. So here we've got knees directly under the hips and the wrists directly under the shoulders. And we're going to go into our cat-cow stretch. Some of you might know this from kind of yoga type movements, but we start with the breath in. On our out breath, we're going to pull the belly in tighter, tuck the tailbone underneath, push the rib cage up to the sky, and let the head come into the chest. So you're really rounding your back, trying to get that stretch. Breathe in to hold. Breathe out, we're going to go the other way, so the tailbone starts to stick out. I push my chest forward, not your belly, and the head looks out to the front of the mat. Good. So you breathe in to hold the position, you breathe out to change. Just work between those 2 positions, getting as much stretch as you can. Really, as you round the spine up, make sure that you're tucking your tailbone under as much as you can. So you should feel your tummy muscle almost doing like a little crunch. Good. Breathe out as you move through the change of position. Good. Last 2. And 1. Good. Now, from here, we're going to lower onto your front. So lower yourself down onto your belly. And you're going to just stack your hands on top of each other, and you're going to rest your forehead down on your hands. Okay, so the legs are out parallel to each other. In this position, we have to pull the tummy muscle up off the floor, so we don't want the back to have a big arch in it. So if you pull your belly muscle in, send your tailbone towards your heels, you'll feel your pubic bone just lightly pressed towards the mat, and that's the position that we want to hold because then the lower back is supported. Good. And from here, we're going to just lift into a little hover. So I'm going to bring my head and my hands off the floor. So take a breath in. On the out breath, keep the tummy muscle pulling towards the back and just lift your head and your hands a couple of centimeters off the floor. So my forehead and my fingertips are touching. I try and pull my shoulders down my back, and I breathe as I hold that position. Good, and lower back to the floor. And again, inhale, exhale, head, and both arms, so those arms come up off the floor, fingertips and forehead touching. And just breathe as you hold. Pull the belly button in tight. Keep sending your tailbone towards your feet. Good, and lower. And it's hard to get the breathing initially, so don't worry about it. Just make sure you're not holding your breath. Good, inhale, exhale to lift up. And then just breathe, whatever comes naturally, whether it's in and out your nose to start. As we hold, keep pulling the tummy away from the floor. Good, and lower. Done. Well done. Now we're going to just build that up a little bit more. So it's the same movement, but we're going to add more arms. So start on the floor, tummy muscles engaged. Inhale, exhale, lift up. Inhale, stretch both arms out in front like you're Superman. And then pull them back to your forehead and lower back to the floor. So we're gonna lift, lengthen both arms, pull them back, and lower down. Good. Inhale, exhale, lift. Both arms stretch in front. They come back to the head, and then we lower. So it's like two separate movements. We've got the lift up first, then the stretch of the arms, then the arms come back, and the head goes down. Good, keep going. Now, as you stretch those arms away, you still want to try and keep the shoulders away from the ears. So as the arms go out, it's a bit like a push-pull. You're trying to pull your shoulder blades down your back as you push your arms away. Good, just do a couple more. Good, really focus on pulling that belly muscle in off the floor. Good, stretch the arms out in front. Yeah, nice, good neck, yeah. Good, and in, and lower down. Really good, guys. Let's go for 3. That looks good. One more. So inhale to start, exhale to lift. Inhale to stretch the arms out in front, and then breathe out to bring them to the head and lower to the floor. Good, well done. From there, you're going to push up into your shell stretch. So you're going to push your bum right up into your heels. You're going to wrap your hands around by your feet, and you're just curling yourself into your ball. So we're just trying to take the pressure off the back from lying on the front. So you just curl it in around. You get a few deep breaths in that position. Good. Now from there, let's pull back onto our hands and knees. Guys, isn't that a good day? Okay, so knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders, and we're looking for that neutral spine position to start. So the bum doesn't stick out, but it doesn't tuck under either. We're right in the middle. So we've got that natural little curve, just like you're lying on the floor, and that belly button is just gently pulled into the back. Good. So from here, I'm just going to lift my right hand up off the floor. Try not to change the shape of the spine or the back or the tummy. Good, so just one hand comes up, and then take it back to the floor, and then the other hand comes up. And down. Good, so just work a couple of those from side to side. Make sure that nothing else changes except for the hand coming up. Good, keeping the tummy nice and tight. Good. Now, keep both hands on the floor. Let's switch to the legs. So, again, the belly button's pulling towards the spine. I'm just going to slide one leg back and just lift it a few inches off the floor. So if we go too high, this usually happens. People kind of start to dip the spine. We don't want that to happen. We want to keep neutral. Just slide the leg back without the spine changing shape. Good, and then pull it back in. Same on the other side. Good, so keep pulling the belly muscle into your back. Nice and slowly, take a few seconds on each side. We're pushing the floor away from us with our hands. That'll keep the shoulders strong. Good, and you're just lengthening one leg away. Keeping the tummy tight. Pull the leg back in. Good. Now, let's add the both of them together. So let's start with the one leg. So take it away. Pull the belly in tight. And then lift the left hand. If it's your right foot back, lift the left hand up. Good. So we're not going to do the big overstretch just yet. We're just going to focus on keeping that tummy. You could feel your balance and your tummy muscles working. Pull them back into the middle. We're going to go to the other side. So my left leg goes back. I'm just going to lift my right hand up off the floor. Good, so draw on that tummy muscle in. It should be a full body exercise. Everything is working. Good, back in. Let's do one more each side. Lengthen the leg, lift the arm. And down, last one. Leg, and arm. Good. Bring it back to the floor. And just take your bum back to your heels again. This time keeping your arm reaching out in front. And we just get that nice big deep child's pose stretch. So bum back, arms out in front. Good. Nearly there. Get a few big breaths as you hold that stretch. Good. Now we're going to go back over onto our bum for the last exercise. Good. So we're going to have the knees bent up in front of us. So it's a bit like what we did earlier with our half roll back, but we're almost only going to go like a quarter of the way back this time. So sitting up nice and tall. We're going to pull the belly button in towards the spine, and I'm going to just roll back. So I'm just going to curve back so that it feels like I'm sitting right on the very top of my pelvis. Good. My hands are just going to slide underneath my knees. Good. Rib cage is pushing into my tummy. And then I'm going to see if I can bring one foot up. And then the other foot up. So we're just breathing as we hold. Good. Really pulling the belly muscle into the spine and pushing that rib cage down. So try and keep the shoulders forward. That will stop you from feeling like you're going to fall back. Okay, that is an exercise that we'll build up into, but for now we're just going to get that balance. So bring it back down. Okay. So you start up nice and tall, and then it's almost like you're sinking. So we sink back into it, pull the belly in, push the rib cage down, and bring the feet off the floor. Good. Now, if you're finding it not too bad, see if you can just take your hands away for a second. So just bring them out to the side, draw the tummy in. And if you're feeling it in your back, your tummy's not quite working hard enough, so just kind of come down and just reset. Good. It's just that little, kind of that C-shaped curve, really pulling the belly muscles in. It should be hard work in the tummy. Good. And bring it forward. Lovely. We're going to build that up over the next few weeks. Just take it right down onto your back. And we're going to go back into some bridges, some of these hip rolls, so knees and feet hip distance apart. Take a big deep breath in, and on the out breath, you're going to roll through the pelvis, squeeze the tummy, and push the bum right up to the sky. Good. Inhale at the top. Exhale as we roll down, one bone at a time. So this should be a little bit looser than when we first did this in our warm-up. You should be able to move your spine a little bit better. So as you pull that tummy muscle in, you really think about pushing the ribs down first, then that area just kind of above your belly button, and then the area for your belly button, the base of your pelvis, and then your bum hits the floor. Good, let's just do 2 more. Inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale at the top, exhale to roll down. Last one, inhale, exhale, lift. Good. Rolling down, bone by bone. Good, and when your bum hits the floor, just bring your feet and your knees together again. Bring your arms up to the sky. And I'm gonna let my knees drop one way as my arms drop the other way. Just find that nice big stretch. Good, bring it up to the middle and let it stretch the other way. Just give those a few seconds each side and then just work it back the other way. Just getting that stretch through the whole spine. Good, bring it back to the middle. We're going to go into our bum stretch. We're going to take the right ankle to the left knee. Good. Okay, remember if you have problems with your hips or that's your limit, you're just going to let that stay there. If you want a bigger stretch, you grab underneath the thigh and you pull it up towards you, feeling that deeper stretch in the bum. Good. Deep breaths as you stretch, remember, inhale and exhale. We want to keep the blood flowing, keep the oxygen circulating. Good. Take it down, and let's do the same on the other side. So left ankle to right knee. Remember, if that's your point, if that's your max, you just let that weight there. And if you want more, pull the thigh up in towards your chest, and you hold it to get that stretch on the left buttock. Good, keep breathing. Good. We're going to bring that back to the floor. You can slowly work your way up into standing. Perfect. So when we come up, we've just got feet hip distance apart. We'll just start to shrug the shoulders around a few times, just loosen that off. Good. And then we're just going to let the right hand slide to the outside of the right leg. And get a bit of a stretch up the left side. And back to the center and same to the other side. Good. Pull it up. And then as we did last week, we'll finish with our roll down. So we start with the feet and knees hip width apart. Just soften the knees so that they're not locked tight. We're going to let the lower half of the tummy just relax initially. Take a big deep breath in. Breathe out, you're going to let your chin tuck into your chest, and you're going to just start to fold your upper body over your tummy. Pull the belly in just a little. Letting your hands and your head just heavily pull you towards the floor. Soften your knees so that you don't have a massive stretch in the back of the thigh. And let the tummy muscles be a bit more relaxed so that your tailbone's just kind of sticking out. And then we take a breath in at the base, and as we breathe out, the first thing we change then is that tailbone. We tuck it underneath, and we really pull the belly muscles in, and we rebuild that spine up one bone at a time. Sliding the shoulder blades down the back as you come up, head up nice and tall. Good, just do one more of those for me. So breath in, breath out, let the head fold over. Let the weight of your upper body just pull you towards the floor. Soft knees with the weight in the toes. Tailbone sticks out, and then we breathe in, breathe out. We tuck the tailbone underneath, scoop the belly muscles up, and rebuild that spine. Good, so you're up lovely and long and tall and straight. Perfect. Breathe in as you reach the arms up overhead. And deep breath out. Letting it all come down and just shaking that all loose. Lovely. Well done, guys.